Alright everyone, hello and welcome to episode 35 of my Blackburn Rovers Football Manager 2017 career mode. We've kind of been rushing through the first half of this season, but this is the point, ladies and gents, where things are really going to start to get hot and spicy, especially this run of games now. So, I think the last live con we did was the 1-1 draw against Chelsea up there. And I kind of played all these games off camera. Obviously, we've gone through a lot of them in the last episode, but to make up for it, we've got this run of games. So this episode is basically going to be 2 away games. Chelsea in the first leg of the EFL One Cup. And then we're going to go away to Mourinho's Man United, who are currently second in the Premier League, and see if we can get anything at Old Trafford. So the last time you guys saw our fixture list, we had last drawn 1-1 against Stoke. As you can see, it didn't go too badly right after that, yet we find ourselves one position lower in the Premier League, unfortunately. So we beat Fulham 4-0. Ryan Giggs' Fulham, of course, newly promoted, could end up facing them in the EFL Cup final should we manage to beat Chelsea over 2 legs, which is going to be really, really tough. We then got a 1-0 win against Leicester. Leicester have always been kind of one of them teams that have been one of my bogey teams alongside Watford. Jamie Vardy just tends to go ham. But Thomas Carr stepped up. He was brought into the starting 11. He's been featuring for the reserves, playing pretty well. And obviously, with it being an FA Cup game, I wanted to give him a run out. And to be fair, he got a goal from a set piece, so credit where it's due to him. And then we faced Watford again. It took all the way up until the 77th minute for good old Andre Gray to grab a goal. Grabbed it just about in the end. Not really been the same ever since his long-term injury, but I'm kind of hoping that the Andre Gray of old will somehow come back. So 2 wins in the league, a win in the FA Cup, and then, well, we just got hammered by Aston Villa. To be fair, we really didn't play well, given that Aston Villa obviously just got promoted this season. We kind of went all guns a-blazing through everyone forward, and then Fabio scored an own goal, whose form has been kind of inconsistent this season. Ross McCormack, he's somehow got the most goals in the Premier League so far this season. No, not anymore. He's got 1 goal less than Antoine Griezmann, but that really tells you a lot about Ross McCormack. And yeah, he got 1 against us. No idea how we managed to lose this game 3-0, but everyone was obviously asleep, and it kind of happened. So, on the back of that, we now find ourselves in 5th place. We've got a nice 6-point gap, however, between us and Newcastle. And to be fair, if we're going to be gunning for Europe come the end of this season, that 6-point gap is really, really going to come in handy, because Man United and Spurs next in the league, and then Stoke and Liverpool coming up, let alone Newcastle themselves. That's going to be a bit of a European 6-pointer. It's going to be a dreadful running of games, so we've got to see what we have to do. In a way, these EFL Cup semi-final games haven't really come at the best time for us. In a way, it may have been better off for us to get knocked out the Cup earlier on in the season, in terms of trying to rack up as many points in the league as possible. But you know what? Let's try and enjoy it while we can. Quite recently, Chelsea, no surprise, sacked Pep Guardiola after 287 days in charge. And they've appointed Carlo Cudicini as interim manager till the end of the season. Now, they sacked him on Boxing Day, which is the 26th here, which was right after a 2-0 loss to Newcastle. And as you can see, Carlo Cudicini hasn't really done much better. When you look at Chelsea's side, you can never rule them out. I think it's fair to say morale's a little bit crap at the moment, and who knows what might happen on the day itself. If these other teams can beat them, there's no reason whatsoever as to why we can't. So, yeah, no idea if he's going to go with the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-4-2. We've been scouting some of their past few games. He's kind of been mixing it up. Either way, if we can come away from Stamford Bridge with a draw and an away goal, it might not really be too bad. In terms of our starting lineup, I'm going to try and not weaken it too much. Obviously, we've got to try and keep some fresh legs for United and Spurs. But on that note, let's head down south to London and see what happens. Okie dokie, hello everyone and welcome to Stamford Bridge. Good news. Well, kind of good news and kind of bad news. A few seasons ago, we faced Chelsea. I think it was in the EFL One Cup back when we were a championship side. We fielded a full-strength team, They went with a lot of youth, and they've done the same again. And the reason why I say it's a bad thing is because we thought it was going to be an easy game a few seasons ago, and then we were proven wrong. I think we lost, and they've gone with the exact same approach again. So all that talk about, them not playing too well under Colaccini, I don't know. But realistically speaking, I think we should be looking to beat this side. They've got Boga up front. They've got a lot of pace to Chelsea. They have a very good youth academy as well. They've got this Greek regen, who, as you can see, I don't know a lot about their youth players, so probably I need to have a word with my scouts about this. But they've got a lot of pace in this side. Pedro out on the left and Bolo out on the right. Boga up front is a pretty fast man. And a lot of legs in midfield as well. And even their centre-backs, if we're looking something to exploit there. Omeru's pretty fast. Nastasic, not great acceleration-wise, but in general, quite an athletic centre-back. Not the best in the air, but he's still a Chelsea player, which means he's good enough. Sirigu, interestingly, Salvatore Sirigu in goal. Nathan Ake at left-back, who obviously 3 years on in 2019 has developed into a bit of a gem. And Christensen as well on the right, really more of a centre-back, but still can definitely put a shift in out on the wing. So in terms of what we've done tactically, we're just going to start off with the counter mentality. But in terms of instructions, I've not really changed too much. I think we need to try and focus on just playing our own game, going into this game, doing what we do best, and see, what happens from there. One thing we did miss, I felt, against Aston Villa was Kadura's presence in the middle of the park. Demirbay just really wasn't at the races, but then again we lost 3-0 to newly promoted Aston Villa, so I guess you can kind of argue that no one was really at the races against Aston Villa. But here, even though we're away from home, we're up against kind of a Chelsea youth side, but players like Nastasic, Sirigu, and players like Pedro playing. So I'd really love it for us to take an early lead, and there it is. Go! Kerem Demirbay. What a goal that was. I mean, talking about the experience of Sirigu, definitely cocked that one up, didn't he? Good ball from James McLean, floated it in. Gillas won it in midfield, not in midfield, in the middle of the box, sorry, and Sirigu was completely caught out of position. Gillas really made that goal by winning it in the air. And yeah, I weren't expecting that actually. And it was funny because I was talking about Demirbay being quite poor against Aston Villa, but it's going to be meaningless if we get completely counter-attacked here. Good stuff by Dumic. I didn't actually discuss my starting lineup, I don't think. So Gillas has gone up front alongside Andre Gray. Nano's going to be ready to pounce off the bench if he needs to. It's basically the same lineup bar Callas and Steele and Gillas that we played against Aston Villa with. Our strongest lineup, I think, at the moment. Obviously, Steele's coming to goal because he needs some play time. It can't just be Rajkovic all the time. Callas has come in because he's actually been really, really good alongside Dumic at the back in our most recent games. I think them 1-0 wins where we managed to keep clean sheets. Callas has played really, really well as get on the score sheet for one of them. Whilst Danny Bath, on paper, quite a good player, but he's still inconsistent, and we dished out 9 million for him in the summer. I don't regret it, but I think when you consider we dished out 1.4 million for Callas, who on paper doesn't even look, attribute-wise, anyway, near as good as Bath, in my opinion. For him to be performing better, fair play to Callas. But yeah, we'll see what happens from there. Obviously, Gillas' his physicality up front definitely helped create that first goal for us, as Demirbay showed technically what he can really do. What's Gouffran doing? Doing the Gouffran spin that I used to moan about earlier on last season. But Tiote picks the ball up in midfield. He finds Andre Gray. Looks to link up with Kerem Demirbay again. Makes it 2-0. 2 away goals. Away at Carlo Cudicini's Chelsea. Fantastic goalkeeper. Unfortunately, can't quite say the same for his management. 2-0, 2 away goals, and you can argue that this is already game over. To Chelsea, they probably don't give a monkey's toss about the EFL Cup, but personally, I think it would be awesome if we can win a cup this season and get a European finish. Won't be too disheartened, of course, if we don't actually get a European finish in the Premier League, but considering we were 4th at Christmas, it would be extremely disappointing for us not, to get that European spot. But anyways, let's tell the players demand more, because Chelsea are actually starting to to work their way back into this game. We're going to switch to a control mentality. We're going to slow things down a little bit and go with a more shorter passing directness, just to try and help us hold on to the ball a little bit more, because again, this Chelsea side has bags and bags and bags of pace. And another thing I want to do as well is just drop our defensive line too, because of the pace that they offer. Steele shouldn't have really hoofed that out the back. It's only just going to give the ball back to Chelsea. Not quite sure why he did that. We had a lot of regens come in the window, which actually hurt our tactical familiarity, which I've definitely noticed a difference in terms of some of our performances. And I'm not looking for excuses, and I know that individual players have tactical familiarity, and a lot of the regens, to be fair, are actually in our reserves, so they're not starting players or anything like that. But they came in straight away, and it brought our tactical familiarity down by about 10-15%, which kind of meant that most of our training was going towards tactics rather than defensive positioning, which is really something I put a lot of emphasis on. And I tell you what, Andre Gray put a heck of a lot of emphasis on that shot. 3-0. Sirigu kind of stood no chance. I said Andre Gray weren't the same ever since he came back from injury, and it kind of seems like I called Demirbay poor. I've been calling Andre Gray poor, and they're all proving me wrong. And this is great, really. 3-0. Quite comfortable. And what's good about it is that it gives me a platform upon which I can rest some players, bring on some youth off the bench, even though we don't really have that much youth on the bench. Actually, I've got no youth on the bench. Yeah, that backfired. No youth on the bench. Good, let's stay calm. Tell them don't get complacent out there. Just make sure they can keep their heads. Gillas ain't exactly had the best game of his career. So we'll shove Danny Graham on. Go on, Danny. We'll let Varela have a run. Are we going to let Varela have a run? Actually, no. I think what I'll do is I'll move Tiote to... but then again, Kerem Demirbay's on his hat-trick. But I am wary of the fact that his stamina ain't great at times. We'll leave him on for now. And what I'll actually do is I'll shove Sam Byram on the right-hand side. Obviously, slightly better defensively than Gouffran. Works it a little bit harder as well. So hopefully it'll help us kind of try and preserve this 3-0 lead against Chelsea. I am wary of the fact that they could still quite easily level this up, even though, they are playing a youth side somewhat. Right, okay, there we go. 55 minutes in. I need Kerem Demirbay, to be honest, for the Man United game. So Lenihan's going to come on as a defensive midfielder. And that's going to be it, really. We've made all three subs. I really weren't expecting Chelsea to be as negative as they have been. When you consider Stoke and Fulham are the other teams in the competition. Sure, they've had a crap season. They've kind of finished... Well, they are 11th at the moment. So you'd think that at least Cudicini would go quite strong in a cup like this, just to try and give the fans something to smile about. But it doesn't seem to actually be the case. But they could grab a goal here. Is that Raheem Sterling? Sterling whips the ball in. Mbolo, wow. Terrible. Is that Raheem Sterling? No, it's Dujon Sterling. Still looks pretty pacey, and we definitely saw an instance of that pace there. But here we go. Augustinson to Tiote. A bit of a high line here, actually. We're playing with fire. Gray finds Danny Graham, who makes it 4. So that should be it, hopefully. 4-0. We are going to be going into the EFL Cup final. Not a bad win against an average Chelsea side. Chelsea aren't really that good, are they? They're only 11th in the league. It's not like they've got players like Hazard and stuff. Graham did really well there to beat the offside trap. Nice to see he's rewarding my new contract. It is only the cup, but it's not like Chelsea haven't been in this game, you know what I mean? They have played relatively well, but I guess we've just been... What? We've just been that extra bit better. Not quite sure what was going on there. It's not the first time we've given away a penalty in that kind of situation, where it's Dumic as well, but it doesn't look like he's done anything wrong. Fortunately for us, we have built up this 4-goal lead. So there's a goal for Mbolo, but it does mean that come the second leg, we're still going to have a 3 away goal advantage, and Chelsea are going to have to score a ridiculous amount of goals, put a ridiculous amount of goals past us to stand any chance of, you know, reaching the final. I am aware of the fact that some of our players do look knackered, which ain't really going to bode well for the Man United game. So changes are going to have to happen without a shadow of a doubt. But there we go. Final whistle. 4-1 win against Chelsea in a weird way. Kind of worked in our favour that Cudicini's in charge, I think, because, yeah, the youth playing and Cudicini in charge. But, yeah, I'm very happy. Let's not overdo it because it was a youth side at the end of the day. Really happy for Kerem Demirbay. Now, I think... yeah, so it was a 2-2 draw, actually, between Fulham and Stoke in their first leg. So still anything could happen, really. But Stoke do have 2 away goals, so we'll have to wait and see how that materialises. But we've got a nice lead, and I'd love a lead against Man United. Morale's going to be high, going to Old Trafford. So let's see whether or not we can make it 2 wins this episode. Okie dokie, Old Trafford it is then. So, straight off the bat, Man United second in the league, just behind Liverpool. Never ever thought I'd hear myself say that. 4-4-1-1, typical Mourinho. Griezmann out on the left rather than up front. Mkhitaryan out on the right. Armenian, midfield Armenian. Juan Mata, obviously, is always going to be in Cheick Tiote's back pocket, like every time we play him. Mata's ridiculously overpowered on Football Manager anyways, so it just always seems like whenever Tiote man marks him, it ends up being okay. The main thing we're going to be looking to exploit is going to be Daily Blind. He's not going to be going forward too much, not really that pacey, so we're going to be going with Gillas as a wide target man, kind of a blast from the past in how we beat Newcastle back in our first championship season, which is about 20 episodes ago, if you're that old school to remember that. Andre Gray up front on his own, and we're just going to try and basically, obviously with this 4-4-1-1, more of a 4-4-2 in my opinion, just with Gillas playing slightly wider than usual. I'm going to try to hold onto the ball as much as possible. We've dropped our defensive line to try and deal with Marcus Rashford. A lot of pace to burn on Mkhitaryan and Griezmann as well. But other than that, we're going to be trying to exploit the right flank. Obviously, try and get the ball to Gillas as much as possible. But other than that, starting off on a defensive mentality, we've just got to basically just, you know, play it cool, calm and collected and try and work our way into the game and see what happens. 79% of possession 3 minutes in, and Blind is already booked, which is good. Let's get him sent off. So where is he? Here he is. Let's tackle him hard. That can whoops, did that go in? Yeah, it did. So that can sometimes, you know, try and wind certain players up. All I want to see us do is compete really from now up until the second half. Try and keep the ball as much as possible. Try and stay defensively solid. Make sure we don't concede. The second I say that, have we conceded? Mata to Rashford, who's probably going to shoot. Good tackle from Gouffran. And, oh, good save by Steele. Yeah, Steele's actually starting the game. I thought he played pretty well against Chelsea, in case you ain't noticed. That's why he's starting the game. But yeah, I want to try and go in 0-0 at half-time. Try and stay as defensively solid as possible. Which is, don't know if you heard that because I just whacked my mic, but I said try and stay as defensively solid as possible. We're not going to do that if we headed the ball back to Smalling. But here we go. Pogba. Rashford picks the ball up. Good tackle by Thomas Callas. And now we need to break. Fabio finds Nabil Gillas out on the right-hand side, who's looking for someone to pass to. He actually ends up passing it backwards, but we are starting to now finally move forwards. James McLean to Kerem Demirbay, who got the double against Chelsea. Augustinson now bombing down this left wing, but he was all alone there. He had no backup, and that's now actually left us getting counter-attacked. Rashford pulls it back to Mata, who scored. Oh. That all stemmed from Augustinson losing the ball. That's where it stemmed from. And Tiote doing some kind of like sideways shuffle. He should be ramming himself towards Mata when he's meant to be man marking him like that. Okay, we're going to try and close him down a little bit more. Stop retaining possession. Steele Rather than trying to play it to the fullbacks, he's going to try and actually play it towards Gillas, the wide target man. And let's start getting that ball into the final third. We've had a lot of possession. We honestly have. But approaching the second half, we are only 1-0 down, though. And I'm kind of getting flashbacks from Chelsea away. Not the last game, obviously, but a few games ago where we were 1-0 down against Guardiola's Chelsea. It's just now a case of how we're gonna change this game. Tiote, he's for some reason man marking Griezmann. I specifically remember telling him to man mark Mata. I don't know why that's changed. Okay, and Juan Mata's gone and scored. In terms of changing things, I think we're just going to switch back to kind of our usual approach. Gillas up front. Gouffran, for me, he's going to move forward. We need to exploit this space, right? This space that Daley Blind's going to be leaving behind. I just feel like Gouffran's got to be willing to just bomb into that space. Fabio will become a wing back on attack, and we'll go from there. I want to see more attacks down this side of the pitch. Rashford keeps coming deep and picking up the ball as well, so that's something we're going to have to look at. The trick now is to make sure we don't concede. Just stay in this game. And we've given away a penalty. They had so much room in the middle of the park, which is understandable considering that we're obviously playing 4 in the middle of the park. And Gouffran's been pushed up. Juan Mata ain't going to miss from there. And yeah, now we need to change it around. I'm just going to go to an attacking mentality. I mean, to be brutally honest, in terms of what we can genuinely change, I don't think there is much. We've just got to try and get that ball forward. We have had most of the possession, but we've just not been able to do much with it. And in terms of formation-wise, the problem is I'd probably go 5 in midfield to try and make up for, obviously, what caused this penalty to come to fruition. But at the same time, we need goals, which means we need strikers, which means we need players up front. So for some reason, they're showing me this celebration. Okay, goodbye. We've come into the game with a game plan, really. I just don't think it's materialised at all. Not at all. Couldn't get the ball out wide towards Gillas. And Griezmann might make it 3 here. Good save from Jason Steele. But now we don't really have anyone wide. And because we've got both strikers on attack, they're not really even helping trying to win the ball back. More direct. Be more expressive. And let's play slightly wider. In terms of Steele's distribution, make sure that's going out to Nabil Gillas. Listen, if we didn't give away that penalty, this game would honestly be a completely different game. We need to show that we want it more. We need to win the ball back and play on the counter. But they're passing through us. They've scored. They've scored. They've scored. He had a terrible first half, Thomas Carlas, to be fair. He was brought into the side, he's played well against Chelsea. He's had decent form recently to deal with Rashford's pace. I mean, I don't know. This weird thing here is obviously just a random glitch in the game, but the ball was played through Dumic's legs way too easy. I thought we actually switched to a counter mentality. That doesn't help either. Honestly, so much has gone wrong this game. After so much went right against Chelsea in the last game, so much has gone wrong in this game. I think we are inevitably going to drop points in the league. Now I think it's just a case of damage limitation and just hope the lads can grab some goals. Good ball into the box. Tiote has to score and he's missed. And I think that miss kind of sums up our game so far. I'm more than happy to admit that tactically I may have made errors in areas. Tiote's tired, which is understandable, given that he obviously played a part in the Chelsea game as well. Main problem here is I didn't think we'd end up in this kind of scenario, so I don't really feel like I've got the players to make a substitution. What we need to do is try and find someone willing to play in the middle of the park, and I don't think we really have anyone willing to do that. We'll move Gouffran into the middle of the park and try and bring on some goddamn pace out here on the right wing. So we'll actually turn Andre Gray into a winger and bring on Nano up front and make him an advanced forward. So let's go with that. It does, however, look like we are on the attack. Until we give the ball away, of course. Rashford's going to score from it. He's ridiculously good in this game. He's missed. But, yeah, too much has gone wrong. And now we're just basically left trying to hoof the ball forward and just trying to get a goal for the fans to, you know, smile about. Chances are we are going to end up conceding more because of how offensive we're playing. Lenihan does not have to give him a corner there. And it's just a showcase of we've improved a lot as a team. We've improved a lot as a squad. I think our league position... There's another penalty. That's... Yeah, we've improved a lot as a team, improved a lot as a squad. Our league position says a lot. And the fact that we're potentially we've got 1 foot in the EFL Cup final, it says a lot about how we've materialised as a team as well. But when we have to deal with your Man Uniteds and your Chelseas, even though we beat Chelsea obviously in the last game, but it was a youth team, and we have to play against these big teams, we do still struggle. Particularly your Man Uniteds and Liverpools. So we're going to bring on Varela for Fabio. 2 ex-Man United players, of course. We're throwing so many men forward. It's kind of feeding into Mourinho's counter-attacking tactics. Rashford will whip the ball in and Mata will make it 5-0. Is that another own goal for Fabio? Yeah, another own goal for Fabio. So good job with subbing him off. 5-0 down against Man United. And, yeah. It's kind of a case now where it's kind of just like... The reason this is happening is because we've thrown so many men forward after going 2-0 down in the 47th minute. But would it have made more sense to aim for more of a damage limitation approach? I don't know, really. I really don't know. Andre picks it up. He's got to use his pace now. And, well, Phil Jones, Blackburn Rovers fan, has given us a penalty. So cheers for that, Phil. But it's only going to be a consolation. Andre Gray... At least he'll make it 5-1 here. And the reason I'm saying that, of course, is because he's just going to miss now, isn't he? Yeah, he's missed. He's missed. So, yeah. We even get help off a Blackburn fan in the form of Phil Jones. And, yeah. I think it was kind of nice that we got a penalty ourselves because we've really not been on the nice end of penalties recently. Be it the last episode, the episode before that, or the Chelsea game. Well, obviously, we've conceded 2 penalties this game, so... Yeah, it's not meant to be, and there's a full-time whistle. We've lost 5-0 to Man United. I'm just disappointed because our goal difference at the top of the table wasn't really that great. I don't think our heads are going to really drop from this point. We've got Spurs coming up next, but I think we've already beat Spurs once this season. So I'm pretty confident going into that game. I'll be happy with a point. But I think what frustrates me the most is up here, you know, fighting for the Champions League spots, it's really tight. And you know how you say you've got to beat the teams around you. I don't consider Liverpool and Man United as teams around us at the moment. Our main opponents are really Arsenal and Tottenham fighting for that final Champions League spot. But goal difference is going to make a massive difference. And it says a lot, right, when Arsenal and Spurs' goal difference is like 30 and ours is 8. And this 5-0 hasn't really done us any favours. So team talk-wise, we can't fault the boys. They gave it everything they had. No, they didn't. That's bollocks. Just tell them I'm not happy. I'm not too disheartened because obviously we beat Chelsea quite significantly, but 3-0 loss against Villa in the league, followed by a 5-0 loss against United in the league. Not looking good. Next episode is going to be at home against Spurs and then at home against Chelsea, and then after that we'll just have to see how things materialise. We could really do with 3 points against Newcastle and Liverpool, to be honest. It's not going to happen against Liverpool. They've got this OP Romanian manager, but I definitely think we can beat Newcastle. In terms of how we did last time we played against Man United, we actually beat them. So fair enough, we beat them early on in the season, that's right, and then we beat Spurs, I remember this now. So we beat both them teams once this season. We beat Spurs at White Hart Lane as well, I remember that now. It's actually a live com, so there's no reason why we can't possibly beat Spurs at our place. One more thing, in terms of transfers, Kajura obviously is out with a long-term injury. The downside though is that he's actually asked to go back to France, and I kind of told him to man up and remember that he signed a a deal at the club, but it has affected his morale. I've sent him on holiday. It looks like he could be back, actually. I've sent him... It's funny because he was moaning saying that he misses France, and then when I sent him on holiday to try and help him, he went to Algeria. So that's definitely a bit of a bug in the game. I've kind of got my fingers crossed at the moment that he'll see through it, and once he's back from injury, all will be okay. There you go, he is unsettled at the club. But chances are we're going to get rid of him in the summer anyways. So that's fine. In terms of players bringing in, obviously I wanted to bring in a box-to-box midfielder. Cheers for everyone in the comments that's obviously suggested quite a lot of players. Unfortunately, with a lot of the players like Højbjerg and Kahn, they're just not interested in coming to the club. We are obviously doing very well in the Premier League, but the problem is the way the game works. Our reputation won't actually increase until the season finishes, until our final Premier League spot is kind of set in stone. So we're struggling to bring in the players that we really need to cement our place in the top four. We may genuinely end up not even bringing anyone in this window, but you know, when transfer deadline day comes along, anything's possible. Marco Rog actually looks like a very tidy player, Croatian player, unhappy at Napoli. And to be fair, they accepted 10 million for him, and then it just came down to a matter of talking to him in terms of his contract. He only wanted about 45k a week, which ain't really too bad, but you know, sometimes when you have a bit of a bad gut feeling about someone, that's kind of what I had with this guy. I don't know why, because he can actually put a shift in out on the wings as well. But I'm just going to go with my gut feeling, which tells me not to sign this guy for some reason. I've got a funny feeling someone might crop up come the end of this transfer window. We've only got around 10 or so days left of the transfer window. But to be honest, my main focus right now is making sure we can come out of this poor league slump, beat Spurs, cement our place in the EFL Cup final, and hopefully get an easy team like Fulham in the final. But until next time, again, it's still transfer season, guys. Let me know in the comments if there are any players you recommend. Asaidi has come back from injury. I just need him to bloody find his fitness again. He might not be the same player. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But until next time, remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and yeah, see you next time.